just start off with a really quick review then to remind you of what the heck it is that we're doing. Day one is all of R-Phase, where we are, well, not all of R-Phase, but it's based out of the R-Phase program. R-Phase, injury rehab, neural re-education, mobility restoration. And the basic three things that you have to do with everybody. And a lot of people, when they first hear about R-Phase, are like, well, I think I'm more advanced than that. Maybe. But honestly, that's where we start everyone. It doesn't make any difference if you're a professional athlete or whatever. Everybody's got some kind of movement stuff, most likely from their lifestyle, old injuries, etc., that needs to be cleaned up. So we have 160 exercises. We spend time going through every joint. The reason that we spend time going through all the basic ABCs of movement in every joint is to facilitate mechanoreceptive activity. You guys remember mechanoreception? And that also explains kind of the shape of all the exercises, because we want to move every joint area, anterior, posterior, right and left, so we want to get our lateral motions in, and then we want to create those circular motions, with the goal being to actually facilitate activity and mechanoreceptors throughout the periphery of the joint. You need to start looking at neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity is the new buzzword. Really for the last 10 or 15 years it's become very, very popular. And at a basic level, neuroplasticity means that what we used to teach and think about the human nervous system is not true. Because some of you who are a little bit older may have heard that the human brain kind of reached its maximum growth potential around the age of 25, 23, 25, and at that point it was considered that all of your basic neural skills were what? They were now fixed in place, right? Can't really learn anything new, can't really do anything new, which doesn't make sense, number one. And number two, it's proven to be completely false. What I tell people you want to know about neuroplasticity is, number one, it's actually the most hopeful concept in science for us. And what I mean by that is, it's hopeful from the standpoint that if you're willing to put in the time and effort, which goes back to some of our responsibility talk yesterday, you can alter anything about your body and about your nervous system. That's what neuroplasticity means. Your baseline skill as a human being is movement. And if you practice poor movement skills, guess what you get better at? Moving poorly. And those poor movement patterns and dysfunctions, do you think there's subsequently going to be a cost to them? You bet. And what's interesting is in this kind of fitness athletic world, we all tend to glom on to the thing that we like, right? I like street stuff, or I like speed stuff, or I like this, or I like that. But if you don't take that one big step back to go, do I have baseline movement skills that will always support everything that I want to do? That's when you start to run into the roadblocks and the pain that then results. So a lot of guys get into strength training because they want to be strong. Nothing wrong with being strong. I always tell people there's no substitute for it. Right? There's no substitute for endurance, there's no substitute for strength, there's no substitute for any kind of fitness attribute that you can name. But if you gain that and lose movement in that process, that's a bad trade-off. And that's not a mindset that most people have. They will sacrifice movement to get all this stuff, which ultimately costs you down the road.